Aloha, my name is Anna Covert, and I'm coming to you from my battleship here on the beautiful island of Oahu. This week on the Covert Code, the topic is redefining energy investing, the future of oil and gas. My special guest is Jay Young, CEO of King Operating Corporation, Forbes author, and podcaster. And he's here to share all about how reshaping the oil and gas investing is really something that a lot of people don't understand and what the great reward really is. So I'm excited for him to be here today and to tell us all about what he's doing in his book. Thanks so much, Jay.
Hey, thank you very much, Anna. I thank you for having me on. I appreciate that. I noticed that we both are Forbes authors, so that's great. I congratulate you on your book. I know it's a hard road. It's something that it takes, some people say, is it going to take you longer than you thought? Yes. Is it going to cost you more than you thought? Yes. It's like, yep. But you know what? I mean, we both have a passion for what we do. And when you have a passion for what you do, you want to get the word out.
Yeah.
And you want to get it out in a big way. And you want to say, hey, you know what? This is something that I feel so strong about, and I want to make sure that I tell as many people as possible. So that's awesome. I've had you on my podcast, and now you have me on yours. So that's what we're trying to do is get the word out about what we do because it is very, very important.
Absolutely. So to start us off, can you tell me a little bit about your professional journey? I mean, how did you get to where you are right now?
Yeah, it was good question. I mean, people, with the show Landman when it came on, people were texting me all over the country going, "Hey, is that you? Is that what you do?" And I go, "Yeah, it kind of is." I mean, there's way too much drama in that show, and no, my wife is not like that, but yes, with the oil and gas business, that's how I grew up. I mean, it literally, and I mean, from a, oh, my book just fell, but but literally from a standpoint of, what an oil field looks like and where the Permian Basin is, Midland. I mean, it's exactly what it is. And I tell you what, I'll be out there Wednesday, and when I'm out there, I just feel so good. I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool that I'm out here in the oil field because there's literally nothing around. There's more pumping units than people, and it's like, what's going on around here? And that's how we grew up. So, yeah, I'm a fourth generation oil and gas guy. My great grandfather, they had 12 kids. That was back before television, but back before digital advertising, uh, obviously. But they had 12 kids, and if you're a man, you were in the oil business, and if you're a woman, you were married to somebody in the oil business. I mean, just everybody literally went into the oil and gas business. So that's kind of what I was around, and I was still around those kind of people. My grandfather, my dad. My dad stayed in it the least amount of his working career, but my granddad and my great grandfather were both lifers. I mean, they went with the ups and downs of the oil and gas patch and in drilling wells and taking care of wells. And when I was old enough to drive a pickup, 12, 13 years old, I could hit the pedals because I was a little taller than everybody else, and I could drive the old 3 speed on the column pickup truck, and I'd go to the oil field with my grandfather because he let me drive his pickup, and I'd go and I would drive the truck and go to his different wells. We'd go by an oil well, and you see those pumping units go up and down, and he'd always tell me, he'd go, "Hey Jay, okay, right here, slow down, and then he roll his window down. That's what rolling your window down is. In the old days. Today they just push a button, but they'd roll his window down and he'd listen to it, literally listen to the pumping unit on what it sounded like. And, it's a huge machine, several stories tall, and it would be pumping oil from literally thousands of feet underneath the ground. And he could hear the rods, going downhole. He could hear the downhole motor. He could hear if everything was going well and everything was running like a well-oiled machine, which that thing definitely is a well-oiled machine, and just kind of hear how it was taking care of itself, or if you needed to stop and do something. And we did a lot of work on a lot of wells forever, and it was great. So I went there and I did that until I got out of college. And when I was going through college, as a matter of fact, my dad told me, don't get in the oil business. Don't get in this oil business. he said this thing is just because he had lost his job and couldn't find another job in the oil business because when prices go down, people lose their jobs and it's like, what do you do? But he's told me not to get in the oil business, so I didn't study it in college. It was early '80s, and I did not. I went through that and I said, okay, I'm not going to get oil business, so I want to get a business degree. Then I thought, well, I'll get a marketing degree, so I got a business degree in marketing and got out of college, went to in the stock business. But then, something kind of pulled me back in the oil business. I had a friend that, or actually, my mom had a friend that um, had an oil and gas company. I went to work for him for 5 years and then started my own company in '95. And it's just about marketing oil and gas deals and how to build up assets,
Hmm.
which is obviously very important in what we do. So, building up assets and selling them. So, that's kind of how I started my career in thinking about the oil business and what we do and how we do it, and also how I kind of transformed. It was oil and gas, and I was going to think about real estate or oil and gas and stock business, and then oil and gas real estate, and I decided to go into oil and gas because it's such a great career, and I know there's a lot of ups and downs, but it is fascinating, and clients get 100% tax write-off, which they love, and they get monthly income while we scale the investment for a sell later on.
Wow.
And
That's really interesting.
great.
So, um, and I also watched Landman, which I thought was a great film. And really, what I was, because I do a lot of solar work, obviously. But what I thought was really interesting was, and something that I didn't know, and I think that more people need to know, is that oil is in everything, like
Yeah.
literally everything, like
Mhm.
clothing. I mean, everything has, I had no idea how much how impact it had, really, just beyond being at the pump. It's more than that. And
Yeah.
so, when people, and I've gone to power gen conferences, and I think a lot of people get, in a almost like a debate of which is better. And my stance has always been we need it all because we have a huge need as this growing community and AI and technology. We have to have all the oil we can get. We need all the solar. We need everything we can have
Right.
because we have a thirsty future ahead of us
We
with all the
do.
smart
Yeah.
toys. And so tell me, what is your book about and why did you decide now was the time to write it?
Yeah. Great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, the reason why I wrote the book was because I wanted people to know that there was a different way on how to invest in oil and gas. Because if you're getting a phone call from somebody and they go, "Hey, I want you to invest in an oil and gas deal," and you're like, okay, so you invest in it. You don't know how the deal's structured. You don't know if the deal's promoted or how promoted it is, what the deal is. You have no idea. You're just like, well, this guy called me on the phone. I put 100,000 in and I lost all my money, but it was a potential 10 to 1, 15 to 1 I lost. I got 100% write off. And I'm like, man, those guys took advantage of you. They either drilled the well or didn't, or they
Hmm.
promoted it out so much that they don't care if you made money or not. So what I wanted to do was I created a plan, and it starts with 2015. I'm on a chairlift in Beaver Creek, Colorado, with a friend of mine, David Moore, and David is a multifamily guy, multifamily housing. He's killing it. 2015. I mean, he's gone through, 2007, the housing crunch, and everybody's moving to apartments. Nobody's buying houses. Everybody's moving to apartments, and he's buying them left and right and filling them up. His clients are real happy. So in 2015, I asked him, "Hey, what are you doing? How are you doing it?" And he said, "Well," he said, "Man, my clients are extremely happy right now." And I said, "Man, how'd you do it? What'd you do?" And he said, "Well," he said, "Tell you the truth," he said, we do the value add model where we buy an asset, for nothing or it's not worth as much." And he said, "We put a lot of money into it and value add, and then we'll either refinance it in 3 to 5 years or we'll sell it." I'm like, man, okay. Why can't people do that in oil and gas? And so I went and studied it. I had a couple of guys on my staff at the time, one SMU, one Rice MBA, and I was like, hey, let's go through this. Let's find out how we can do this. So we did, and we sold an asset within a year, made 131% returns to clients. Super good, right? Everything's going good. And I'm like, you know what? I know I could do this. I know I could do this. And so we started in another asset. We built it up. And then we 2020, 21, we started with Fund One Fund two is building up. Fund three, and we're just building up assets as we speak right now. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to tell people about it. But if you tell people, it's one thing to tell them, but it's one thing to send a book to them and go, hey, you know what? I want you to read my book and get your opinion about it. Because Forbes obviously is the publisher. We're writing at a big level, and I've got incredible networks. Broker dealers, RAs. I mentioned one of my big RAs in California, and he's also an author, but he wants to get his word out. So one of the best ways to do this is what I've found is to get your word out is to write a book.
Yeah.
Because people, will sit there and they'll look and go, "Oh, okay, well, this guy knows what he." You're putting yourself forward. It's like you're putting yourself out there, just as you have, Anna.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself out there as somebody that studied the market and somebody that really understands it and what's going on with the markets and how to transform the industry to where you've learned and you know how to for people to come in with you, be on the same side of the table and make money.
Right.
And it's believable. And I want to do the same thing because there was a lot of people that I had in my network that they're like, yeah, well, I don't know about this guy yet. But I'm like, hey, you know what? Read my book and I'm going to tell you how we're different.
Yeah.
This is exactly how we're different.
Yeah, no, that authority, it matters, and having the Forbes name, there's only less than 80 a year that they'll do. There's like less than 2,000 Forbes authors worldwide. So I think it is a big accomplishment. I felt really proud of that I was accepted, and and others realize that as well when you hand them the book, and you could invest with that guy or you can invest with me, right? The
Right.
choice is yours. It's not a very hard choice, right, to make. So tell me, are you only doing investments for who is your best customer? Like who is the ideal candidate for a solution like this?
Yeah. Somebody that pays taxes, I think. And the reason why I say that, is because people love to save money on their taxes. And, somebody that has made some money or they're making money every year. They sold their business. They want to diversify their portfolio, but I think it really is somebody that has made some money that said, hey, you know what? I want to invest 200,000, 500,000. We have people that invest millions, and I invest millions in our program too. But I like saving money on my taxes. I don't pay as much taxes as in California, but we still pay taxes, and that's not a good friend. I don't like paying taxes, but anyway, so the people that want to pay taxes, because what we do is you'll save 100%. It's 100% write-off, maybe 75, 80% the first year. So, which means that, if your adjusted gross income is $1 million this year and let's say you put in $500,000 in our program, you get to write off, let's say 80% of it, $400,000. So you write off $400,000 against your $1 million worth of adjusted gross income. So instead of paying taxes on $1 million, you're paying taxes on 600,000,
Wow.
Considerably less. So the government's helping you. They're helping you write the check, if you will, for the oil and gas investment because they want us to be more independent as we can of drilling for oil and gas in the United States. And, and there is a lot of solar. There is a lot of batteries. I'll tell you what, this is a great, when you said that earlier about what you didn't realize was there's oil in everything, in a third of a barrel of oil that's produced. And, we produce 13.6 million barrels of oil a day in the United States.
Wow.
Not in Hawaii, but in the United States. But you know what? We consume 20 million. So we need over 20 million barrels a day in the United States. We only produce 13.6 or zero point 0.5 now. That number's coming down because less rig count. But when you produce a barrel of oil, only a third of that goes to gasoline cars. So if you took every gasoline car off the market today, all of them, then that would be a third of the barrels that would be needed. So instead of needing 20 million barrels, we would need, let's say, 14 million barrels. So we still need a lot of oil in the United States. Matter of fact, we would just continue producing the wells that we are right now. We'd almost be there. But a third of it is jet fuel, transportation, vehicles, diesel, things of that nature. And the other third of a barrel of oil that's produced is for, lipstick or plastics or for, roads, things of that nature. So there is a lot of here I got my your phone case, I mean, there's not anything that I'm touching, pretty much in my glasses, I got oil is needed for everything. So we're not going to run out of the need of oil anytime soon. And I know what Biden wanted to do. Biden wanted to, he wanted to, say, hey, well, we're not going to do any oil. We don't want to produce any oil. We want to go totally green. And I mean, it may sound good, and you may get yourself some votes, but when he also took out all the oil out of the strategic reserve, that was a big political move for him because he wanted to lower the price of gasoline. So when you're driving to the voting booth, you're driving by and you're getting gas and it's less. Oh, I guess Biden knows what he's doing. No, he was draining our strategic reserves,
Oh my God.
to put more oil in the market and lower the price. So a lot of games played, but
And do we think so, how much are we gonna need even more oil? I mean, so do we have enough oil? Is this do you think that there's enough in the United States, or are we gonna have to always rely on importing?
yeah, we will. We will. And the demand for oil is not going down anytime soon on it. What I mean by that is, we need 20 million barrels, probably 21 and a half now. I've been saying 20 million for so long that we need 20 million barrels of oil a day. That demand for oil is not going down anytime soon. And we're not producing. We're producing less oil now than we have in a while because rig count's coming down. And shale oil,
What is
uh,
recount? What does that mean?
rig count, that's how many wells or how many rigs an oil rig is specifically drilling for oil and gas.
Hmm.
Okay. Like there's 535 rigs right now that are drilling specifically for oil and gas because we've got to we got to replenish that. If you're producing 13.6 million barrels a day, to keep that level 13.6 million barrels a day, we've got to continue drilling for oil and gas in the United States. And if rig count goes down like it did after COVID, I mean, rig count went way down during COVID. Well, what happened was all these rigs went out, and when these rigs went down, our supply went way down. And that's what raised the price of oil again pretty soon because that's what oil and gas is. Oil and gas is supply and demand, right? If we had more oil than necessary, and if we just supplied the market like Saudi Arabia, they oversupplied our markets right before COVID. I mean, they literally oversupplied our markets. Prices were coming down because they didn't want us to produce as much oil in the United States. So what they did is they oversupplied our markets. And then we had COVID, which means demand went to zilch, so there's all this oil in the markets that went crazy. So rig count went way down because people didn't want to drill for oil at that time. So therefore, it's just like, man, there's all this supply on the market. Prices went negative for a little bit, but then they came back up. And now, we're about $62 a barrel. Right now, it's at the bottom of what we want it to be. We want it to be at around, I mean, I think even on Landman, he said $78 a barrel is a good, healthy price. Right now, it's at 62. It doesn't scare us. I mean, we like $62 a barrel. We can drill cheaper, drill wells cheaper. So the rig count was over 1,000 rigs a day drilling for oil and gas in the United States. Now it's 500. But that means that your supply for oil, how much supply is on the market, and we were over 13 million a day before COVID. It went down after COVID. It's coming back up now, but right now we're at 13.6. And if we quit drilling for oil in the United States, then that number will come down. What's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 months? You'll see production coming down. And as production comes down, you're going to see OPEC is happy because they're going to put more oil in our markets, and they're going to kind of hold us hostage, if you will, and they'll make more money. They'll make more money. So that's it's up and down. It's supply and demand. It's like oranges, like grapefruits, like anything commodity wise. It's supply and demand, right? If there's more supply on the market, and then demand, prices are going to come down. That's what's going to happen right now. But then, then we'll quit drilling in the United States, and all of a sudden, what'll happen? Well, the price will start going up again. So it's just a cycle, and that's what happens in any business, in any commodity.
Right. So with this investment product and funds that you've created, is part of that to help stabilize the industry because people now are kind of having a pretty low risk. I mean, they pay the taxes or they invest, right?
Right.
They would have to pay it no matter what. Now they potentially could get a return. And even if they don't get a return, they're still helping the long-term oil economy in America. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's true. Very true. It's a good point, Anna. What happens is when people invest with us, what they're doing is they're putting a money in a fund. Let's say fund one, fund two, fund three, whatever. And this year we have fund three, and they're putting money in. And then what we're doing with that money is we're going to like the Permian Basin where there's a lot of drilling being done, and we're either participating, we're drilling wells ourselves, or we're participating with ConocoPhillips. We're looking at several deals right now with major oil and gas companies that we can participate alongside them. So when you participate in these oil and gas projects, what happens is, let's say the Permian Basin Fund, it continues to grow and grow and grow. And then all of a sudden, there's going to be a firm that either comes by and loves the cash flow and they'll buy that project from us, or there's an oil and gas company that'll want to participate. And it's like the Bivens project in Amarillo. It's 60,000 acre ranch. It's a 60,000 acre ranch, which isn't anywhere close to how much acres they have. I know it's crazy. Think about people in Hawaii live on a third of an acre, and these guys have 60,000 acres, and that's not even all of it. I mean, it's like 60,000 acres of their bigger bigger ranches, or that's a small piece of their bigger ranches. But we have a 60,000 acre ranch that Apache drilled a lot of wells in the past. And then what we're doing is there's 100 different places that you can drill wells in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in, we're going to spend 200 million, 150, $200 million drilling wells out of the fund money that comes in. We'll drill those wells, and then we'll drill those wells and spend 150 to $200 million in. Then we'll turn around and show this to a public company and say, hey, Marathon or Exxon or Ring Energy, or there's a plethora, there's thousands of oil and gas companies, and just say, hey, here's the project that we've drilled. Our break evens are $32 a barrel. It's got a 70% internal rate of return at $70 a barrel. You've got 100 more locations that you can drill, and we map them out for them. And how do we know that? It's because we've already drilled 15 wells in here, and we spent $10 million drilling 10 wells, and here's our results. And you could buy this. And so we'll sell that for, 400 to 500 million bucks. And then that money comes back to the clients, and that's a good return for them. So that's the best thing is that the clients get all their money back, first, before we make a big divestiture. But then you have the money in the funds that are doing that. So that's what we invest in. So we're investing in either, alongside the major oil and gas companies, or we're putting fields together to sell them to companies, or we're selling them, or we're putting it together to where, we understand what an oil and gas company wants. I'm on the board with a guy named Trevor Reese Jones, and if you look up his article in Forbes magazine called 7 years, 7 deals, 7 billion. I want to make sure I do that right. 7 years, 7 deals, 7 billion. It's either 7 deals, 7 years, 7 billion. But anyway, he did 7 deals in 7 years for $7 billion. And what he did was, we're doing the same thing. We're just taking money. He was very fortunate and made $1 billion off of his first transaction. Then he took that money and put it to work on these other deals that he had. And then all of a sudden, he sold these 7 deals, 7 years, 7 billion.
Wow.
We're doing the same thing that he's doing. We're just using, instead of using my money, like, I'm not Trevor Reese Jones, but I wish I was, but he's an incredible guy. He's an Eagle Scout, Troop 82 in Highland Park, Texas. But he use his own money to put that. And I'm just doing the same thing he did at that time, and I'm doing the same thing that he did to create the wealth. And so that's what we're doing. So right now you can get a good tax write-off for your investment, which is awesome, because everybody loves to save money on their taxes. Who doesn't want to pay less in taxes? But also, too, we'll send you monthly revenue checks as we get it, 15 to 20% a year. And as we scale that investment, to sell in the next, 2, 3, 4 years.
Wow.
So we look at a 300% or 3x multiple on your equity over time. And also, don't forget the tax write-offs or whatever, but we're looking to deploy capital, and we have some incredible places right now that we are, drilling in that we're very excited about.
Wow, that's cool. So let me ask you, so what excites you? Is there new technology? I'm just thinking about, drones and other, is there anything coming out that is going to help accelerate, our process or change the way we've been doing it?
Oh man, that's a great question. That's good. Good for you, Anna. It's a good question. You know, well, and two, I mean, I don't know if you've watched any of my podcasts, but I had a guy on, Todd Garner, and Todd talked about artificial intelligence. And I was kind of like going, what do you mean by that? And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? There's like 20,000 wells drilled around Midland. 20,000 wells in Midland.
Wow.
Midland's it's not a very pretty place, but there's 20,000 wells. And just think about all that data. There's hundreds of thousands of wells that have been drilled in Texas or Oklahoma, and there's data, right? You drill a well 25,000 feet, 15,000 feet. You may drill it 10,000 feet vertical, 15,000 foot horizontal. There is so much data. And I'm more excited about artificial intelligence in our industry. And we're starting to use more of that because it's like there's so much information. And for me to go online or I don't know who the AI, I know I go Siri a lot with my Apple phone. I go, Siri, what's the name of what I do that, but I'm not sure what AI is. But whoever that will be, I will be going on that a lot going, hey, Siri, tell me the depths of the most productive zone in Parker County. And I know this is really way above what a lot of you understand about the oil and gas business, but it makes a lot of sense to me. And I'd have two people full time on my staff. That one question right there, it would take them weeks. And it takes AI like that.
Right.
Yeah. What's the best way to complete a well in Scurry County? What's the best way, or what's the lateral, length? What's the best? See, I got Surrey's all. No, I
Oh,
didn't. I
she's
wasn't
going
talking to you.
crazy. She's like, this
I
is a
wasn't
lot,
talking to you. No.
sir. You better slow down.
What's the best way to complete a well? What's the lateral depth, or what's the best lateral length that you can drill a horizontal well in, Scurry County, Martin County, Ector County, Upton County? I mean, and what's the results from that have been?
Yeah, and then maybe even when, like
Oh,
per month, and like, how many people did it, like all the components, what tip did you use? Like all these things to get the most profitable situation.
absolutely. 100%. I mean, it's incredible. It's going to be, and I I'm trying to figure out how to get more involved in that, and I don't know how yet, but I know Todd's going crazy, and he's probably looking for a backer or two because it's going to take a lot of people to put a lot of information in the till right now. But I know he'll be very successful, and I know AI will be very successful because it makes all the sense in the world to have that information at your fingertips, instead of having to go dig. And these people, and literally, it's like we we just bought a deal. Well, not just bought. The last deal we bought was like 60 wells. It was mixed up in East Texas, and there was like 100 boxes, literally 100 banker boxes full of paper logs. I mean, like here it is like,
Wow.
scribble here, scribble here. It's like, oh my gosh, can you imagine all that information and having to go through all of it to find one piece of information that I'm looking for or that I think is very, very important? And if it was all at your fingertips, how important that would be. I'll tell you what, if there's somebody out there that's looking for I don't say Shark Tank, but looking for a investment. I think Todd Garner with Pinnacle, I think is the name of his company, but he's got a great. But anyway, just look up, get a hold of Anna. Anna, get a hold of me, and we can make that connection. But I think it's an incredible opportunity for somebody because I think that's the way it's going to go in the future, and I think that's an incredible future for somebody.
Absolutely. And it's all only as good as the data we give it, right? And that's the only thing
Exactly.
is that, will people be competitive and, oh, we don't want Exxon owns it and they don't want, this other company to know what they know about their wells. But at the
Right.
end of the day, it can make the whole industry better. And isn't that, the most important thing,
Yeah. And,
right?
and it's not just like Jed Clampett, and you go shoot, you shoot a shotgun in the ground and oil starts bubbling out of the ground. I mean, I know it did happen on the Beverly Hillbillies, but it doesn't happen like that. There's so much information that you have to follow and put together and learn and trial and error. It's a complicated business. That's why it's so good if you're smart and if you're disciplined. It's really, really a great business, and that's what we're trying to do more of, and that's what I believe that you can do with a lot more AI.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my other question for you would be, is there anything that you're looking, what do you think is going to shape the next future of energy investing? Is there, we talked about your product, what else is there coming?
Yeah, I think that right now there's so many different. I was talking to my daughter's boyfriend, and he's a senior at OU engineering school, and I was talking to him yesterday at the volleyball game. Our daughter plays volleyball at TCU, and I'm talking to her, and I said, or him, and I said, man, what's going on with school? Anything AI or anything? He said, no, not really. He said, it's a lot about completion in wells and what's going on and how to complete wells and what's going to be the next step or the next level, of production, and the longer the laterals today and what's going on with a lot of that. But he said, there's not really any more huge, big private oil and gas companies in the Permian that haven't already bought out. They're being bought out, and so that leaves us with a lot of opportunity, us smaller guys, because they'll shut off some of their stuff, to pay down debt. They'll shut off some of the assets and allow us to, get some acreage that they're not really they're never going to drill. They'll never drill this acreage over here because it's just too far out of their window. So they'll let somebody else, and hopefully we will have the opportunity to pick it up, and our model is ADD, and not that you need Adderall for it. This is the ADD that you need acquire, develop, and divest.
Mm.
So hopefully we get the acreage and we acquire it and we develop it and divest it, and that's what our goal is, and hopefully we see a lot of that opportunity, soon.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being a guest. We can find you at kingoperating.com and on LinkedIn. Of course, your books are on Amazon. Where else are the books? Barnes and Noble, everywhere. Are you in the airports
Yeah,
too?
it's airports. It's all over the place. I did the audiobook, so if you like listening to my voice, it's on there. If not, hit 2x or 1.2x or 5x, whatever. But I did the audiobook. You can go on our website, and I just love for people, especially people that don't understand how to invest in oil and gas. And I don't want you to understand everything because you won't. How much is it? How much can I make? I'll be very upfront with you about that, about how much money you can make or not. And we mitigate as much risk as possible by drilling in areas that aren't, high risk. But I love it when people learn it. So if you want to, I'd be glad to sign a copy for you and send it to you. Just come on here, and I don't know how you get to my website, but get to my website and say, I heard you on the Covert Code podcast, and send me a book. You told me you would. So, and I will.
Wow,
I've
that's
sent
a
3
great
today
offer.
so far. Yeah.
That's a great offer.
Love to.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being here. And to all my guests, please join me next week as I interview another industry expert in a topic to help you succeed on and offline. Please don't forget to like this channel. We're almost to our 30,000 subscribers on YouTube. There's, of course, Apple, iHeart, Spotify. Love hearing your comments, and your support means everything to me. I'll see you next week in the Pixels. Aloha. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Covert Code podcast. If you're loving the insights we share here, don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast platform and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more digital innovators like you. Share this episode with your friends and colleagues on social media and help spread the word. And if you're in the solar space or just curious about where clean energy is headed, I'm thrilled to announce my brand new podcast, The Solar Coaster. This show digs into the real stories, trends, and challenges of the solar industry, with bold conversations and powerful takeaways you won't hear anywhere else. Follow the Solar Coaster now so you don't miss a single episode. Thanks for tuning in. See you in the pixels. Aloha.